What if I told you that the most influential people you know are strategic manipulators? That every yes they get, every door that opens, every favor they receive doesn't happen by chance, but by psychological architecture? Those who master the invisible rules of human perception control any social outcome. This is the raw reality the world prefers to hide behind speeches about authenticity and transparency. But the truth is this: while you try to be genuine, others are being strategic. While you reveal your cards, they control the entire game. What you'll gain here are 15 tactics divided into 3 operating systems: perception control, emotional engineering, and advanced implementation. Each tactic comes with the exact trigger to use, precise execution, and the signs that confirm it worked. Zero theory, zero philosophy, just pure application. Before giving you this arsenal, you need to see the mistake many people make that keeps them eternally vulnerable to those who know these rules. People who control others' perception dominate any social outcome. Transparency doesn't protect you, it exposes you. The mistake that keeps most people vulnerable is simple. They reveal too much, too fast to people who don't deserve that information. They believe extreme honesty generates trust and respect. Actually, it generates predictability and exploitation. Observe the pattern. The overly transparent person tells their plans before executing, reveals their weak points during conflicts, explains their motivations when they should remain mysterious. They believe having nothing to hide is a virtue. They don't realize they're handing all weapons to their opponents. Think of any situation where you revealed your cards too early. You told your fears, your needs, your deadlines. You believed this transparency would demonstrate character. In practice, you delivered all the information the other person needed to manipulate you. The strategic person does the opposite, reveals only what strengthens their position, mentions options, demonstrates value, keeps needs secret. The difference in outcome is brutal. One leaves exploited, the other leaves with what they wanted. 2 devastating consequences emerge from excessive transparency. First, you lose all bargaining power because others know your limits, fears, and needs. Second, you become emotionally manipulable because you revealed exactly where it hurts. Transparency turns you into an open book at a poker table. While you show your cards believing this demonstrates character, others play with complete information about your hand. It's not a question of morality. It's a question of survival in any competitive environment. There's a clear system behind perception control, and we start with the foundation: how to architect exactly what others think about you. First impression determines the entire dynamic that follows. Perception control is the foundation of any real influence. 5 tactics build this foundation. Each attacks a specific aspect of how others classify you and decide how much power to give you. First tactic: initial framing. Use in the first 30 seconds of any encounter. You define the context before the other person forms an opinion. In meetings, start by talking about recent achievements. In conflicts, name the situation on your terms. It works when they use your words to describe what's happening. Second tactic: mystery management. Apply when someone asks personal questions or seeks information about you. Reveal just enough to maintain interest, never the complete picture. Answer questions with half answers that generate more curiosity. It's working when they ask more questions or show growing fascination. Third tactic: focus redirection. Use when conversation goes to inconvenient territory. Change focus to something they value more than the current topic. If they criticize your work, redirect to the project they're most proud of. It worked when they forget the original topic and engage in the new one. Fourth tactic: timing control. Before revealing important information or making requests, choose the exact moment when they're most receptive. After receiving good news, after you help them, when they're relaxed. Success is when they agree immediately without resistance. Fifth tactic: expectation reversal. When they try to put you in a defensive position, do the opposite of what they expect. If they expect defense, attack. If they expect anger, maintain absolute calm. If they expect explanations, remain silent. Result: they get confused and lose control of the dynamic. Perception is just the first level. Real power lies in engineering the feelings they develop for you. Feelings aren't accidental. They're the result of specific actions applied at the right moment. The emotional arsenal separates those who influence from those who just ask. The next 5 tactics control not just how they see you, but how they feel when they're near you. Sixth tactic: selective validation, the most powerful tool for shaping behaviors. When someone seeks approval, You validate only what benefits you and completely ignore the rest. Immediately praise behaviors you want to see repeated. Treat with total indifference what doesn't interest you. Inevitable result. They'll obsessively repeat what generates your approval. Seventh tactic. Emotional scarcity. Works when someone gets used to your presence. Withdraw your energy without warning or explanation. Less available, less responsive, less predictable. Not hostility, just calculated absence. Guaranteed effect. They'll actively seek to recover your attention. Eighth tactic. Insecurity amplification. To create emotional leverage quickly, identify what they fear most about themselves and make subtle comments that amplify that doubt. Never attack directly, just plant seeds. Resulting behavior, growing submission and seeking your reassurance. Ninth tactic. Intermittent rewards. Creates powerful emotional dependence. Alternate between extreme attention and total coldness without predictable pattern. Intensely present today, emotionally unavailable tomorrow. Psychological consequence. They become addicted to uncertainty and obsessed with the next reward. 10th tactic. Emotional anchoring. Used during their high emotional moments. Associate your presence with the best emotional moments they experience. Be present when they receive good news. Achieve goals. Live intense experiences. Automatic result? They unconsciously associate you with positive sensations. The final 5 tactics transform temporary influence into permanent control. Arsenal that separates beginners from masters. The master level isn't content to influence. Transforms temporary influence into systematic control. These final 5 tactics create inevitable results. 11th, psychological leverage. Discovering what they most want or most fear is half the work. The other half is positioning your request as the unique path to get what they want or avoid what they fear. Never connect the dots explicitly. Let them reach the conclusion alone. Perfection is when they act as if it were their own idea. 12th, dependency creation. Become the primary source of something they intensely value. Exclusive information, important connections, specific approval, unique resources. Then gradually condition access to the behavior you want to see. Predictable result. They modify actions to maintain access. 13th, context manipulation. The environment decides the outcome before the conversation even begins. Control where it happens, when it happens, who's present. Choose places where you have natural advantage. Eliminate distractions that harm your objective. Schedule times when they're receptive. Perfect execution. Conversation flows exactly as planned. 14th, information control. When multiple people are involved, position yourself as the central channel. Filter what each knows. Control timing of revelations. Establish yourself as reliable source of truth. Success indicator. People come to you to understand the real situation. 15th, commitment harvest. Transform every successful influence into permanent commitment. Make them publicly declare their position, sign concrete agreements, take irreversible actions. The goal is creating alignment that persists even when you're not present to monitor. Now you possess the complete arsenal. 15 tested tactics that control perception, emotion, and behavior. But power without wisdom is dangerous. You need to know when to use and when to stop. Power without wisdom is self-destruction. Knowing when to stop is what separates strategists from predators. 3 objections always appear, and you need the answers. First objection, isn't this unethical? The answer is simple. If you're achieving something that benefits both parties or is genuinely fair, this is intelligent strategy. If you're deliberately exploiting or harming, you've crossed into predation. The tool is neutral, intention and result define morality. Second objection, what if they discover what I'm doing? If you need to hide that you're being strategic, you're overdoing the application. Effective manipulation looks like natural leadership. People feel you have control, but can't identify specific techniques. When it seems too artificial or calculated, you've lost subtlety. Third objection, does it work with anyone? It doesn't work the same with everyone. People with high emotional intelligence and experience in power positions quickly identify basic manipulation. In these cases, use fewer tactics, more subtle ones, and focus on creating real value alongside influence. First operational risk, control addiction. When you can no longer stop analyzing and manipulating every social interaction, you're becoming pathological. Solution, define specific contexts where you use tactics and contexts where you act naturally. Intimate relationships need genuine authenticity. Second ethical risk, transformation into emotional predator. When you start seeing other people only as tools for your objectives, you've lost humanity. Protection. Maintain relationships where you're vulnerable and genuine. This preserves your perspective and empathy. Final test before using any tactic. Would you be comfortable if the other person used the same technique with you in the same situation? If the answer is no, you're exploiting, not strategically influencing. The goal is never to control people. It's to control outcomes. The decision about intensity of use is always yours. Now you need to choose what kind of person you'll be with this knowledge. From now on, you're no longer transparent. You're strategic. There's no going back after you see how the social game really works. The contrast is irreversible. The transparent person reveals everything, hoping honesty generates automatic respect, reacts to situations others create for them. The strategic person consciously filters information, architects perceptions, and determines outcomes before interactions happen. The defining moment happens the first time you apply one of these tactics and see the immediate result. When you realize that specific words and actions generate predictable behaviors in other people, when you understand that influence isn't luck or natural charisma, but applied psychological engineering. This understanding cannot be undone. 3 automatic patterns mark your new identity. First, you never again share important information without calculating strategic impact. Second, always ask what result you want to achieve before entering any social interaction. Third, observe how others try to influence you and consciously decide whether to allow or resist. What disappears forever is social innocence. You can no longer pretend you don't see manipulation attempts happening around you. You can no longer believe all interactions are completely genuine and spontaneous. You start seeing the architecture behind every conversation, every request, every conflict. Consolidation ritual. In the next 24 hours, choose a situation where you'd normally be too transparent. Apply one of the 15 tactics you learned. Observe the result with total attention. When you realize it worked exactly as described, you'll know you've definitely crossed the line. You're no longer someone who suffers influence without noticing. You're someone who recognizes every attempt and consciously chooses how to respond. This is your new permanent reality. Now you master the 15 fundamental tactics. But there's an even more powerful arsenal that only manipulation masters know. Click the video on screen to discover the secrets that separate amateur manipulators from true architects of human behavior. Click now.